Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 7, entitled Indra Offends Brihaspati. Text 13. Yeah. My glasses are not working. I can't see. Can someone else chant, please? Paramesham Dishanam It's better. Thank you. Carry on. Ya Parameshyam Dishanam Aditishtam Nakanchana Natidished iti bruyo Dharamte param vidu Yat Parameshyam Dishanam Adidishtam Nakanchana Patidishted iti bruyo Dharmam tena param vidu Yat parameshyam dishanam Adidishtam nakanchana Pratyutishtad iti bruyo Dharmam tena param vidu Anyone else? Mataji's? Yeah. Anyone who Parameshyam, royal, Dishanam, throne, Aditishtam, sitting on, Na, not, Kanchana, anyone, Pratyutishtet, should rise before, Iti, thus, Bruyu, those who say, Dharmam, the codes of religion, Te, they, Na, not, Param, higher, Vidu, no. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. If a person says, one who is situated on the exalted throne of a king should not stand up to show respect to another king or a brahmana, it is understood that he does not know the superior religious principles. We can chant together. If a person says, one who is situated on the exalted throne of a king should not stand up to show respect to another king or a Brahmana. It is to be understood that he does not know the superior religious principles. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in this regard that when a president or a king is sitting on his throne, he does not need to show respect to everyone who comes within his assembly, but he must show respect to superiors like his spiritual master, Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. There are many examples of how he should act. When Lord Krishna was sitting on his throne and Narad fortunately entered his assembly, even Lord Krishna immediately stood up with his officers and ministers to offer respectful obeisances to Narad. Narad knew that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Krishna knew that Narad was his devotee. But although Krishna is the Supreme Lord and Narad is the Lord's devotee, the Lord observed the religious etiquette. Since Narad was a brahmachari, a brahmana, and an exalted devotee, even Krishna, while acting as a king, offered his respectful obeisances unto Narad. Such is the conduct visible in the Vedic civilization. A civilization in which the people do not know how the representative of Narad and Krishna should be respected, how society should be formed, and how one should advance in Krishna consciousness. A society concerned only with manufacturing new cars and new skyscrapers every year, and then breaking them to pieces and making new ones, may be technologically advanced, but it is not a human civilization. A human civilization is advanced when its people follow the Chatur Vanyam system, the system of 4 orders of life. There must be ideal first-class men to act as advisors, second-class men to act as administrators, third-class men to produce food and protect cows, and fourth-class men who obey the 3 higher classes of society. One who does not follow the standard system of society should be considered a 5th-class man. A society without Vedic laws and regulations will not be very helpful to humanity. As stated in this verse, Dharman te na param vidu. Such a society does not know the aim of life and the highest principle of religion. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshush Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapandantikam. Yak Parameshyam Dishanam Aditishtanna Kanchana Pratyutistad Iti Pruyo Dharman te na param vidu. If a person says, one who is situated on the exalted throne of a king should not stand up to show respect to another king or brahmanas, it is to be understood that he does not know the superior religious principles. Everyone in this material world, from, Prabhupada says, from Brahma down to the smallest amoeba, is conditioned. So here we see Indra, who's an exalted personality within the universe, the King of Heaven, he's not behaving, he didn't behave properly because of conditioning. That's how it happens. Although he's very exalted and the birth is quite exalted, still he was not able to act and behave in a proper way. And immediately well, it says here, I assume it was immediately, he understood. His spiritual master, his guru, walked out because he wasn't properly received. And Indra then understood that he made a mistake. He made a mistake, and now the discussion is continuing. And as this particular verse is pointing out, that attitude, that thought, that thinking process which says that just because he's the king sitting on the throne, he doesn't have to respect the superiors, is wrong thinking. But he was forced to act in that way, somehow or other. And that we see that, as devotees, we are attempting to purify ourselves and make advancement and get out of the conditioned state that we're in, but sometimes we're forced to act in ways which we shouldn't act. And then we understand that. We realize it, we made a mistake. But that process is due to the modes of material nature and our conditioning. We're conditioned in that way, and we're forced. Krishna says in here, forced to act. Even though we have different intentions, we have different ideas, we want to do things differently, but somehow or other we're forced to act in a way which is not befitting our situation, which is not befitting our culture. And so here we see that's even Indra is subject to that, and he behaved in a way which was not befitting someone in Vedic culture. We're talking about Vedic culture here. Prabhupada is talking about the Chaturvarnam system for caste, but Indra is in the, he's the king of heaven. But still, in heaven, he's the king, but he has a guru. Brihaspati is his guru. There are Brahmins. There are worshipable people, entities. And these administrators of the universal affairs are not above the rules and regulations that are laid out in the scriptures. They're not above it. So even though he's the king of heaven, still he has to behave properly. And Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is the perfect example of that, as Prabhupada points out in his purport. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he was in Dwarka, he was in the position of administrator, king of that place. As soon as Narad walked in, they know what their relationship is. For Narad, Krishna is his worshipable Lord. He's not going to expect that Krishna is going to be worshipping him. But Krishna, in his roop, or his, he was a king, acting as a king there. He behaved properly. Immediately got up with all his ministers and advisors, and they received Narad and worshipped him. And that's the proper etiquette in that case. So Prabhupada's discussing a civilization where this kind of behavior is not prevalent, and that's the situation we find ourselves in this world. He mentions in a couple of places America, not in this particular purport, but in this section. But it's not just America. He was there preaching in America, so he naturally is mentioning that. But it's the whole world, including Bharat, India, is going in that direction, where consuming, technologically advancing, building cars, building skyscrapers, the highest building in the world. Everyone's vying to build the highest building in the world. First Malaysia, then Saudi Arabia, and they're all, America's getting left behind in that respect. And cars and computers and all of this technological advancement is going on, but Prabhupada says that's not human civilization. That's not relevant to human civilization. Certainly we can utilize all those things in a proper way, but in and of themselves, that's not advancement. There is no advancement going on in the world today, except within the Krishna consciousness movement, the Vaishnava movement, where devotees are trying to become first class. They're trying to become first class men. He mentions here, people don't like to hear this, first class, other advisors, second class. Who wants to be second class? Anyone want to be second class here? Yeah? Basically we're fifth class and lower, but we're making the attempt. I turned the thing off, but it's still buzzing. Yes, we're making the attempt to become, but when you hear it in these terms, well, I want to look after cows and protect cows and work in the fields, agriculture, business, but I don't want to be known as third class. I don't really want to be known as third class. Or I want to be the temple president, the director. But I don't want to be known as second class. But it's not really, they're just divisions. Prabhupada's using those definitions, but they're all, in the Daivi Varna system, they're all working together to, they're all parts of a whole. And the object is to satisfy and glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead and make advancement and get out of this situation that we're in, this conditional life that we're in. So human civilization, real human civilization, is geared up, is designed to elevate us out of the situation. Not that we become attached to any particular type of situation, because we don't want to stay here. We don't want to become a bigger director, a director of Mayapur now, director of the universe, become Indra, or become, that's not what we're looking for. Advancement in a particular varna. Because that's, all these positions, Prabhupada says, you want to be Brahma? Okay. That desire, Krishna will arrange that for you. You want to be Indra? Krishna will arrange that for you. By your actions, by your deeds, you elevate yourself. So you can elevate yourself within the material world. You can learn the science from the scriptures and elevate yourself in the material world, and that's what some people want to do. They want to go to the heaven. They want to become heavenly denizens. But that's not our goal. We certainly want to elevate ourselves. We want to elevate ourselves out of this material world and re-establish ourselves as servants of the servant of the servant of the Lord. So that should be our goal. I think that is our goal. That's why we're here. And so we just have to persevere. Those things that I mentioned in the beginning, those kind of being forced to act in a way which is not conducive to our spiritual life, that's going to come. That's a natural consequence of our... But by sadhu sangha, by strict following of sadhana, by chanting Hare Krishna, those things will drop away. They'll drop away. And we will advance in Krishna consciousness. The acharyas have given the path and they've pointed out the pitfalls, and so we should understand that there are pitfalls and we are going to slip. But if we stay in the association of devotees and cling on to that association, then we won't fall. We'll slip many times, probably, but we won't fall. Fall down. We hear about, fall down. Why fall down? Because they left the association of devotees. They gave up the association of devotees. So we can slip, but we don't want to fall. We don't want to fall away from the association of the devotees, which is actually our only hope. It's the best thing we have going for us. All right. You actually got cheated because Purushottam Maharaj is downstairs talking about Lord Nrsingadev for the next 3 days. And here we are. We're talking about the Lord, but it's a bit of a, you have to listen to me, but that would be much more inspiring, I'm sure. Are there any questions or comments, discussion?
Sometimes we hear that demigods are liberated, but it doesn't seem really that they are liberated, are they?
Liberation is the beginning of devotional service. That's the when you're liberated. That means that it's the first. It's when your real devotional service starts. I don't know where I never heard that they were liberated. I don't think they're liberated because Prabhupada says everyone from Brahma down to the smallest amoeba is conditioned. And conditioned means not liberated. So that's my understanding. No, they're not liberated. To whatever extent, they're doing some mixed service. That's what we're doing, Mishra Bhakti, mixed devotional service. And they're also engaged in serving. It's not that they're not serving, they are serving. There's somewhere in the Bhagavatam, you might be able to help, but I read this and I've never found it again. And I'd have to read the whole Bhagavatam again, which someday I will, but where it says that Vishnu that's lying down, I think it's Karandarakshay Vishnu, he's lying down on his, and the universe is all absorbed within him. And there's big demigods, big entities, not just the small entity, not the Indras from this universe, but big Indras, and they're all there worshipping him. And then at some point they start praying that, well, we need something to do, so why don't you manifest? You should now manifest the universes again, so that we can serve you in that way. Where is that? It's in Kapila Dev?
Yeah, there's different Brahmas, different types of Brahmas.
Yeah, big.
And there's our Lord Brahma, he's my spiritual master, told me he's a pure devotee. He's going to, our particular Lord Brahma is a pure devotee. There's different types of Lord Brahmas. And there's some Lord Brahmas who perpetually serve the Lord as Lord Brahma. And what they do is when their universe is at the end of the Pralaya, when their universe is dissolved, they go back to Mahavishnu, and there they serve the Lord Mahavishnu, Karnodakshaya Vishnu. And then when the universe is created again in the next Pralaya, they come down again and they act as Lord Brahmas.
Yeah, that's the one.
They have a perpetual relationship with the Lord as a Lord Brahma.
Yeah, that's the one. And while they're there, they pray to him, right? Come on now.
Yeah, the personified Vedas are the alarm clock. The personified Vedas in particular are the alarm clock.
So these are very advanced personalities, but they're not. If they were liberated, they'd be doing pure devotional service and they go back home. As the head of our Sampradaya, Lord Brahma, in this universe, he's a devotee, and he's on the same path that we're on.
Yeah, and that purport, it's in Kapila Dev.
Kapila Dev, okay.
Yeah, but in that purport, Prabhupada says that these Lord Brahmas, they have some consciousness or some, consciousness that they're an equal with Krishna.
Yeah, there's still something
Yeah,
there.
and so they have and the Lord accepts that ras from them. They have a feeling that, they know that Vishnu is supreme, but they have a feeling, like a congeniality that they are also somewhat
Same.
You know what I'm saying? So they have this feeling, and the Lord allows that, Ras.
But it keeps them in the material world.
But it keeps them coming back again and again.
And they have to come back again and again and again.
But they're perpetually Lord Brahmas. Perpetually Lord Brahmas.
Because sometimes in our movement we hear, oh, there are not Uttamadikari, we have, these things are there sometimes, I don't know why, still. So, but the head of our Sampradaya is Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma is still around. It seems to me that it's still around. Yeah?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I don't know. That sometimes there are doubts amongst devotees about, well, of course, Srila Prabhupada no doubt. Yet amongst the Prabhupada's followers, well, because I come from a place that there are these doubts. So Lord Brahma himself, who is the head of our Sampradaya, is still here. I don't know if he's in the spiritual world. So Uttamadika, I don't know, but there should not be, there is not a need exactly to be the highest Uttamadikari to be a bona fide guru. Is it?
No.
I didn't hear the question.
She said,
My mind is very big and I have a hard time to express what I wish I
her point is that, her question was that do you have to be an Uttama Adhikari of the highest platform to be a guru? And she gave the example of Lord Brahma. He's the head of our Sampradaya, but he's still here. And she said, Prabhupada, well, he was in that position, but there's doubts about others. And my response was no. You don't have to be an Uttamadikari of the highest platform to be a guru. Lord Brahma? Is he a Uttamadikari? I don't know either, but I think he would be. I would say yes.
Our Lord Brahma.
Yes. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. He's worshipping Govinda, the primeval Lord. And so, see, people on that platform, it's not that they, just because they're here doing something, doesn't mean that they're not in the spiritual world. Doesn't mean that they're in contact. They're not in contact with the Lord on a daily basis. And if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, or you even see, well, maybe you didn't see Prabhupada, but those devotees, they're not out of contact with Krishna in the same way that we may be. You know, it's a different bhav. Right in this material world, you can have a direct talking relationship with the Lord, and you can see. You can do Manasa Puja and burn your finger. In Manasa Puja, you burn your finger, making something for the Lord.
Even Chankasi, he had the scratch of Lord Cigarette in his back, so he came in contact with Lord Cigarette.
Yes. Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll move on. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.